Welcome to Let's Talk About Sex.
Today, we're going to talk about the first time.
Just a tiny disclaimer, guys. Everyone's experience is different. I think we all know this, but it's best to be said. It may hurt. It may not hurt. It may be with your boyfriend of 10 years. You might be married. Who knows? Your first time is different.
I mean, we're definitely not average, to say the least. I actually lost my virginity when I was 16. I had been with Fernando for, almost a year, and I had always said I was going to wait until marriage. I kept putting it off, and finally one day I just decided that, hell, I was in love and I was going to go for it, and I was just going to make the best of it, and then I just waited until the time I thought it was right, and apparently that was, a rainy summer day. It wasn't, candlelight and romantic dinner and Marvin Gaye music in the background, that's for damn sure. But, it was right for me at the time, and in all honesty, I don't regret it. I don't wish I could take it back. I don't want to change anything about it.
My experience is vastly different from hers. I was 21. I did not have a boyfriend. This was a guy I had known for all of probably 2 hours before it happened. Needless to say, there was some alcohol involved, which I would not suggest to anyone else.
No.
You know what? I wouldn't suggest any of my experience to anyone else. It worked for me. I don't regret the experience, but if you have the choice, I would avoid doing it the way I did it. I knew Fernando's first name. That about covers what I knew.
It was Fernando.
It was. And that covers about what I knew about him. It hurt. I don't remember all of it. It was awkward. Yeah, not the best experience of my life, but it happened. I don't regret it. I've moved on.
Like Kat said before, everyone's experience is going to be completely different, if you did notice that from the two completely different stories you just heard from us. But she also said that, sometimes it's going to hurt and sometimes it's not. And there's a lot of different reasons that it can hurt. And it can hurt the first time, it can hurt the first 5 times. It can never hurt for you and you're wondering what everyone's talking about. But one of the reasons that sex can be really painful is if your hymen is still intact. And some people's isn't, because it can be broken during vigorous sports, especially like horseback riding, or, if you use tampons, you can break it that way. Or if for some reason you're an older person and you have a large collection of sex toys, you could have done it that way as well. But so not everyone's is intact, and if yours is, then the first time you have sex, that can make it a little bit more painful for you.
Also makes it a little messy.
Yeah.
Just a warning. Another reason it can hurt is down there you've got what we call the pelvic floor muscles. These muscles, like any other on your body, need to be stretched, and they can't do everything you want them to do the first time. If you haven't lifted weights before, you're not going to be able to run to the next door and grab a huge weight and pick it up right away. Same goes for sex. Your pelvic floor muscles have to stretch, and the first time you have sex, along with the first probably 5-10 times you have sex, your pelvic floor muscles have to stretch to accommodate a penis. It's just the way it is. That's why it's painful. One way you can ease the pain of your first couple of times is to make sure that when you're about to have sex, you are fully aroused. When a woman's aroused, her vagina expands. This leaves more room for the penis to enter. If you're not completely aroused, it's going to stretch your muscles more than is completely necessary. And the best way to do that is foreplay.
Foreplay is a woman's best friend.
True story.
You also need to remember to relax, Because I know your first time or your first few times can be really stressful and you're freaking out and you're thinking about all these different things. But if you don't relax, then it's going to be even worse. And the pain, you're just going to be so tense down there, your body's not going to want to accept any intrusion whatsoever. And this doesn't just go for your first time, it goes for every time you have sex. If you start having sex with a new person, you can go through it all over again. You're just tense, you're nervous, and your body contracts and doesn't want to let anything in, basically. So just take it easy and don't worry about it. Of course, everyone is ready to have sex for the first time at a different time in their life. Like me, 16, or Kat at 21. So you've just got to decide what works best for you. Obviously, hopefully, well, not obviously, but hopefully, like 12, 13 years old is not the right time for you. 12 or 13 years old is not the right time for anybody. Basically, you need to make sure that you are able to give that part of yourself to another person. Where we come from, we actually called it cashing in your V card because it was a big deal. And you know, it's not such a big deal nowadays in high school or, you know, college, but when we were, it was a big deal who was a virgin and who wasn't. So you just don't let people pressure you. Don't let others make your decision. You know, you've got to do it for you when you're ready for it, really.
One thing I always like to say in high school is, I'm not going to have sex because I am not emotionally ready for the consequences of sex. Those being, of course, pregnancy and STIs. For the record, I'm going to continue to call them STIs. You may know them as STDs, but they're not diseases, they're infections. So I'm going to use the medically correct term of STIs.
Just deal with it.
Complain all you want. It's the real term. It's what I'm going to use.
Yeah, like Kat was saying, you know, there's a lot of responsibility that goes with sex. You've got to be emotionally ready, like pregnancy, STIs. You also have to be ready for, you know, dealing with anything that comes with that. Women have an emotional connection with sex. Their hormones change, you know, and you could be one of those girls that picked the wrong guy and he's gonna up and walk out the door and never talk to you again. At 16, are you ready for that? Is that something you can deal with for the rest of your life? Can you deal with having a baby at 16? Can you deal with having herpes, which is uncurable for the rest of your life? You know, that's all stuff that you've got to think about. So it's really important to be safe.
And that leads me into my next topic. Make sure that when you have sex for the first time, you are being safe. This includes a lot of topics. It includes making sure that your partner is clean. I know it seems really silly, but you don't know that person's sexual history. Whether they're your boyfriend or not, you may think you know, but you don't know. If you have any question in your mind, you have every single right to ask that person to get tested. You don't want to contract an STI your first time. That's just going to ruin sex. In the same account, you don't want to get pregnant your first time, which is why I'm going to tell you, use a condom. I know, again, common sense, they teach you this in sex ed. Use a condom. And girls, the birth control pill, it's great. I went on the birth control pill when I was 16. Had nothing to do with sex, but I did. And you know what? I'm glad I did. I have not had a pregnancy scare, and I am thankful for it.
And this isn't just for your first time. I mean, think about this every time. You know, condoms protect against disease, infections. They protect against pregnancy. You know, there's just a lot of smart reasons. And a lot of people think it's not going to happen to me. But I don't know how many people I know that said that. And they're in a lot different situation now in their life. And I'm only in my mid-20s. So, you know, can you only imagine what would happen 10 years from now if all the girls said it's not going to happen to me? So they didn't use a condom or birth control? It'd be a lot different.
It's a scary, scary world out there, whether you want to think so or not. Whether you've known this person for 2 hours or 20 years. Always make sure you are going to be safe.
Exactly. So just real quick, just want to say that Kat and I aren't saying go have sex in high school. We're not saying wait until you're married or wait until you're 40. You know, you've got to do what's best for you and what's right for you and what your heart and what your instincts tell you to do. That's what both of us did, and it worked out right for us. Were our situations the best? No. Did we end up with the fairy tale first time that you see in the movies? Hell no. But in the long run, we don't regret what happened and we wouldn't change it. It worked for us and it made us who we are today. And that's what you've got to do for you.
Don't be pressured into having sex.
Ever.
I don't care what your boyfriend says. I don't care what that guy next door says, or your girlfriend for that matter.
Yes.
I don't care. If it's not right for you, it's not right for you. You have to feel emotionally ready, physically ready in every single way possible before you have sex. Otherwise, you know what? It is going to suck.
You need to have sex for yourself, not for somebody else. That's the most important thing. Don't listen to, oh, if you loved me, you would have sex with me, because that's BS. If they loved you, they wouldn't pressure you into having sex. So make sure you're doing it for the right reasons and for yourself.
Also, you can even say no on your wedding night. It doesn't matter. If you're not ready, you're not ready. And always remember, stay smart,
Stay safe, and stay classy.